evening. Welcome to this third segment of the Glazov Gang. Our gang members this evening, Dwight Schultz, who played Murdock on NBC's The A-Team. Rob Nelson, former host of a Fox News talk show host, and he's also on The A-Team today. And Tommy,
tell what I tell you in this segment.
And Tommi Trudeau, a producer of music videos, of films, and also, I'll say, a leftist that cares about people. That's how you like to be introduced.
That's very good.
All right, okay. So, gentlemen, in this segment, let's talk a little bit about Syria, and we'll get into the other matters. An ongoing brutality there, suppression of its dissidents, of the demonstrators, and we're really seeing a bloodbath. Nothing really being done also by the Obama administration, but there's a debate out there. The devil we know is better than the devil we don't know, in the sense that if you get, it's so complicated down there, because when they got rid of Gaddafi, okay, he was a monster, but where did the chemical weapons go? Where did the surface to air missiles go? They think they're in Gaza now. And then we got the Muslim Brotherhood taking over. So some say, and there's some evidence that the Al-Qaeda and Muslim Brotherhood could take over in Syria. So this is very complicated. Dwight, what do you think?
Well, I think it demonstrates the failure of Obama's policies completely. If you look at the world from the standpoint of we have allies and we have enemies, he hired or appointed Samantha Power to develop a new policy called responsibility to protect. And he championed it and trumpeted it in Libya, when 1,000 people had been killed.
Right.
Now you have about 12,000 people dead.
Right.
And we're looking to the United Nations, and the United Nations is doing precisely what it has always done, going back to the '67 war. It talks and does nothing because it can't do it can't do anything.
Right.
Syria is allied with Iran.
And maybe that's why Obama's not.
Very, very clear. He is scared, and of course you have Russia involved, and you have China.
Yeah, he moved against Mubarak.
Yeah,
he moved against Gaddafi.
Yes, our allies, our
bad allies,
bad allies, however you want to say it. But those were easy to deal with. But this is strategically a really difficult thing. But if you're going to stand on principles, and you've seen 10,000 people, and you've appointed Samantha Power, I forget the name of the committee, the Atrocity Committee, or some nonsensical, meaningless committee, they can do nothing. It is all meaningless stuff. This guy is a lot of symbols. He symbolizes nothing. He does nothing. He talks a lot, but he does nothing. And you are seeing this threat right now.
Yeah.
I mean, they're right on the border with Israel. They're our enemy. They're Israel's enemy. And this president doesn't appear to know what to do or say.
But do you think that there's a legitimate argument, and he doesn't, he's not acting because of this, but that a worse devil could take over?
Well, that's what I was going to ask.
Okay, that's what
I was going to ask. I mean, again, I think you can't have it both ways. I tend to be a believer in encouraging freedom and freedom across the world. And now people have criticized that, including conservatives lately, saying, well, look, you encourage freedom in a place like Egypt, and look what happens. All of a sudden, you've got the Muslim Brotherhood going to take over. Who knew? Well, some people knew, some people suspected, but at the same time, they were being ruled by a despot, and that's not freedom. So I guess I'm sort of on the fence on this, because we keep trying as a nation to control who's in power and have for 150 years. And at some level, if you're going to be advocating human freedom, you should advocate human freedom. So I feel like we should be going in and helping liberate Syria. But I also feel like we did the right thing in Egypt, although we're getting a tricky consequence. But was it better to just, to leave a horrible despot, crushing his people? I mean, was that the answer? Let me ask it as a question, actually, and I don't have a definite opinion.
But I have an answer to that, because history has already taught us that. Common sense have already taught us that, Rob. Jimmy Carter tried this, okay? This is what Jean Kirkpatrick wrote about in Dictatorships and Double Standards, that Somoza was a dictator. The Shah was a dictator, but there was potential for future evolvement into democracy. But when Carter betrayed those dictators, a far more worse evil came into power, and the Obama administration is doing this all over again.
Egypt clearly wasn't heading toward democracy. It wasn't moving toward democracy.
But, okay, wait, okay, now just a second.
It wasn't. It was a horrible despot dictatorship, and the people were oppressed. So we go, that's okay, and you can kill them because you're a dictator who's basically on our side? I don't necessarily agree with that.
Rob, wait, Rob. There's no ideal situation in situations in this world. And what we have in the Middle East is, in Egypt, if you look at memory and the statistics of people's beliefs, more than 80% believe that women should be stoned for adultery, that apostates should be killed. 97% of that female population has female genital mutilation perpetrated against it. You give quote-unquote democracy to that population, Al-Qaeda and the Muslim Brotherhood are going to grab power, just like what we're seeing happening. So sometimes you have to go with the lesser of all evils, which is supporting a quote-unquote secular dictator than letting more evil powers.
But that's a slippery moral slope. I understand where you're coming from.
That's what the world's about.
But it's a very slippery moral slope because you're talking about keeping millions and millions and millions of people.
Rob,
we didn't liberate them; they liberated themselves.
Rob,
we did. In Libya's case, we came in and
Rob, this world is a complicated place where genocidal monsters are waiting to come into power, and like Nani Darwish has written, the evil we know sometimes is better than the devil we don't know, and that's her latest book, by the way, The Devil We Don't Know in the Middle East. Tommy, go ahead.
Rob, you're describing the situation, but you're not offering, because you're too scared to take aside, any viable solutions. You're saying, okay, this and this and this is happening, but oh well, at least we on the left, we act. We are on the verge of a new world order. This is an example of what happens when all these little governments are allowed to do whatever they want to do. Well, those things are about to change, and they're about to change very soon. You just wait. The world is about to change.
Okay, just
actually, that may be the first thing you said that's accurate.
Okay.
That the world is on the verge of a lot of change,
Wait, I want to ask you something. So you're criticizing Rob from the left, as in you're not criticizing Dwight. You're saying that Rob is kind of a centrist liberal that you don't respect because he won't take a stand?
It's not I don't respect him as a person. I'm just saying take a stand. Now, Dwight, his ideology will not be successful. The chairman, our ideology will prevail, but at least I respect him for taking a stand.
Okay, now just a second.
I respect Rob as a person, but I say take a stand. Being on the fence will get nothing accomplished.
Okay, 1 second. So crystallize for us a little bit about this major world change that's coming up. What are you referring to? Just let me specify this, because you keep referring to this. First, you're alleging, one, that Obama will win again in 2012?
That's already, yes.
Are you sure of this?
Yes.
There's not even a question that Romney will be defeated. Why?
There's no question.
Is it something that you know, or this is just your belief that...
There's a few things I know, and that is the overall will of the people.
Okay.
That he will prevail.
Okay, so, and what are you implying that Obama's going to do in office that's different from now in this new world order? What are you referring to?
Do you remember the picture of our president with the book, The Post-American World?
Okay.
Okay. He is moving us into a global community, not just an isolated country, but a global.
Well, you know what?
Is that a good thing or a bad
That is a very good thing.
Is he trying to trick us
There's one
into that?
actually truthful thing you're saying about that, and it's really unfortunate. It's happening with the whole Syria thing, which is the whole thing of kind of letting the Security Council and worrying about Russia and China blocking sanctions and all that, and kind of using the UN instead of getting past it. Hey, Jamie, can I say one thing?
Go ahead.
Jamie, can I just have one? Go ahead. Can I have the last 30 seconds to challenge something?
No, I agree with exactly what Rob is saying, because the United Nations from the beginning, when Obama elevated it with Susan Rice after it had been down, that has been one of his goals from the very beginnings. It was his out for everything, and there are many issues which haven't come to fruition, thank God. But he has looked to that body as to be. We're international law now. We're moving on to international and its weakness. He's taken the fear of the United States out. He went around the world, was the first thing he did, and said, I'm creating a vacuum, you fill it. Well, and that's what's happening.
And Dwight, look at the pathetic reset of relations with Russia. They couldn't even get a proper Russian translator. Resetting relations as if we're at fault. And Putin has people like Khodorkovsky in prison. He's killing dissidents, stomping out any democratic change. and they're not even afraid of Obama. They're not afraid.
In the great Occupy movement, the people driven it. That was driven by the people. They sat around, they got high, they stopped worrying about paranoia, and they figured things out. It was love, it was brotherhood. Everybody was smoking
Are you talking about the Occupy movement?
Yes.
Okay. Are you when you talk about
the
love and
people?
brotherhood?
They
1 second.
refuse to let John Lewis speak.
Tommy, when you talk about love and brotherhood with the Occupy movement, are you talking about the rapes that occurred, the defecation? Are you saying that those things didn't happen?
Photoshop propaganda.
No, John Lewis didn't speak.
Did John Lewis speak?
I get 30 seconds to be right from the earlier in the week Glazov came.
Okay.
Because Jamie sharply said I didn't know my Bible, so I'm going to let your viewers who are very into this be the judge. Deuteronomy is a great example. Deuteronomy 13 and Deuteronomy 17:12 both advocate that should a people find that their people are not listening to the word of God, or you're in a town and they're worshiping foreign gods, you should kill everyone in the town. You should exterminate everyone. That's an act to kill non-believers.
I didn't say. Wait.
I was saying that the Bible does have Old Testament places where it preaches.
Yes.
It told people if you find homosexuals should be killed. It's in Exodus.
Yes.
Don't let sorcerers live in Exodus.
Rob. Let me answer.
So I'm just saying that is a direction to kill an unbeliever.
Wait. Now, well, wait a minute.
A prescriptive.
No, wait a minute.
It's not just saying they did, it's ordering them to.
No. But in terms of the prescription to go out and dominate the entire world and to subjugate non-believers, that is not in the Old Testament, and that's why the Jewish people have never engaged in it and do not engage in it.
I think you said the Bible does not proactively tell people to kill non-believers, and the Old Testament does.
No, but wait a minute.
Not for all time. It was isolated to the particular instance where there was to a very specific event.
Right.
And yes, it was.
It doesn't say
because
just to go out
of
and
what they
kill
were
all
doing.
non-believers. It doesn't say just to go out and kill all
It says if
non-believers.
somebody
Incest, child murder, they were, yes.
Deuteronomy 13:13 says if you go to a town that God has given you and there are people who are believing, led to believe in foreign gods, you must kill all the inhabitants, animals in the town.
But Rob, wait a minute, Rob. But do you not find it interesting or curious that the Jewish people are not engaging in that kind of behavior
because
today?
Christians and Jews have moved beyond that and look at those as a small part of the Old Testament that they don't any longer
and do not represent the overall beliefs which the Quran does.
I agree, but I was just saying it was in the Bible, and I was correct.
No, wait a minute. Again, I will tell you that those parts are descriptive and not prescriptive.
Prescriptive, Deuteronomy.
They were not. I mean, there is a huge difference between the Quran and the Bible. The Quran is the word of God and must for all time be followed, so that it's strike at the neck of all unbelievers. That's yesterday, today, tomorrow, and everybody.
Right.
What you're talking about is specific to, I mean, to civilization. The Old Testament is a history of civilizing human beings, and it was very specific. It didn't say go out and find unbelievers and kill them.
Wait, he's just made a point.
It didn't say go out and find, but at the same time, it didn't. No, it did say. It didn't say. I actually am. It didn't say this week in this town. Leviticus says that the man sleeps with a woman sleeps with a man, they must be put to death. It didn't say in this town, in this town.
At that time.
Wait a minute, Rob. Now what you're bringing up is just about what's to be done with sin. And
well, it was the same with Deuteronomy.
Anyway, it does not have a prescription to subjugate unbelievers. Go ahead.
You're missing the point. Those ancient books were written for the people of their time. They are irrelevant in this modern age. It is useless to quote them.
Gentlemen, thank you for joining this edition of the Glazov Gang. Join us next week. Good night.